Well, he has all the tools. Just got to make it happen, and so far, he's been able to do so. Up a game. Has not lost a match yet this weekend.
Yeah, Jacob, a player I typically more associate with Maverick, but plays all sorts of legacy decks.
Those days are over, man.
Yeah.
The Maverick days are over. Kind of stinks.
Sorry, man.
Was never really a deck I played. I always kind of liked watching it, though. Here's a Gataxian Probe to start things off. Go ahead, go on your Gataxian Probe rant.
A year from now, as we see it get pyroblasted, a year from now, we're going to look back at deck lists that weren't playing this and laugh.
That's true.
That's my prediction.
That's
We're
true.
going to laugh at it.
Here's an Ancient Tomb. Just pass the turn back. No sneak attack. Oh, Gataxian Probe. You think this one's going to get countered?
We'll find out.
Boop. Let me see your hand. Force of Will, a Ponder, an Emrakul, and a Spell Pierce.
Okay, well, this is one of the typical sneak and show openings we see where they're kind of missing a piece, but the nature of the deck is such. First of all, Kelvin needs to draw blue source of mana so he doesn't have to crack his Lotus Petal to actually cantrip, and then he needs additional help beyond that. So if Jacob is able to quickly find a clock here, he should be in great shape.
Looks like a Force of Will to draw. Kelvin just going to pass the turn back. Just waiting patiently. Here's a Brainstorm.
And now Jacob knows that, the coast is pretty clear. Kelvin really needs that Lotus Petal, so he doesn't really have the luxury of spell piercing this Brainstorm, and Jacob can just do his thing.
See Kory drew a Flusterstorm, a Surgical Extraction, and Delver of Secrets. Now he's trying to figure out what to put back. Got a lot of good cards in his hand. Not sure we're looking at a Surgical Extraction game this go around. And he places that one on top. He might crack his fetch, he might not. We'll see.
It's possible that Kelvin's hand is bad enough that Jacob can afford to do something like, I'm playing around sneak attack off the top.
Sure.
I can play the game accounting for that at all times.
There's a Delver. Quick update for you guys between Jonathan Job and Yuri Cecil. Boom. Boom is what happened, probably. Belcher evens it up.
Nice.
No Force Will that time there for Job.
I'm not saying Char Belcher is the most skill intensive or
What are you saying then?
it's the most exciting deck.
That's true.
It's just we're gonna see what's up.
Don't mulligan. That's my tip.
Yeah.
Just keep and hope to get there. All right, we are gonna. Ooh, we moving in. We are moving in, and that is a well-defended copy of Show and Tell. There are 2 Force Wills and 2 blue cards over there.
Yep. Big draw. This is going to require a lot from Jacob.
This could get really interesting, actually. Because Kory wow, this could get really interesting because Kory has a copy of Surgical Extraction in his hand. So we're going to have a really interesting battle here. What could end up happening, Patrick, because we know Kelvin has 2 copies of Force of Will, is we could see a Force of Will counting the first removal spell, and then Show and Tell still in the stack, and use Surgical Extraction the other Force of Will. But he doesn't know that Kelvin has 2 Force Wills. He only knows he has 1.
Yeah, and this could be a setup where Flusterstorm does some incredible work for Jacob as well.
Oh, yeah.
He's happy to fight a big fight if he has Flusterstorm to top it all off.
Yeah. All right, we're going to see what happens. This could be fun. We're going to see counterspells here. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jacob is happy to try to bleed out some of these Force of Wills for just protection in the long term, as long as he has Flusterstorm to wrap it all up after the fact.
I agree. There's a Pyroblast.
And this is where you see him start here. You want to fight over this, you're going to have to use up your Force of Wills, and then Flusterstorm will clean it all up.
So, Kelvin deciding, all right, which counterspells do I want to use to try to win this war? Force of Will. Removing Spell Pierce. So I want to see if Jacob's going to let this resolve. Maybe try to Surgical Extraction? Who knows?
Yeah, Jacob's got a lot of great tools to fight this sort of battle right now. Even though he doesn't have a lot in the way of mana, he doesn't need very much of it.
Really interesting to see. Looks like this Force will still in the stack.
Yep.
It would take a lot of foresight to Let Force of Will resolve into Pyroblast. Show and Tell still in the stack. Surgical your Force of Will. That's just to play that. I mean, it's just crazy. Here's a Flusterstorm.
And quite frankly, this Flusterstorm just gets it done anyway.
Yeah. So, a bunch of targets are going to be spread around here.
And it's possible because Jacob is pretty secure in the knowledge that this Flusterstorm is just going to work. He wants to save the Surgical Extraction to get rid of the Show and Tell and really cut off the ways that Kelvin has to win the game.
Yep. So you've got Flusterstorm, a bunch of copies going towards both Show and Tell and Force of Will, because if Force of Will gets countered, then Power Blast resolves. If Show and Tell gets countered, well, that was the goal anyway.
Right.
So he just spreads out the copies.
And Kelvin realizes he can't fight this battle anymore and just has to give it up.
So Show and Tell, gone.
And
now there's a Surgical. But what will the target be?
I mean, with Spell Pierce in hand, I have to imagine that taking Show and Tell leaves Kelvin with very few realistic paths to win the game.
Yeah. Could Force Will this. He's targeting Show and Tell. This almost forces his hand, maybe not.
This is brutal for Kelvin. I mean, it's barely worth a fight, but at the same time, he's thinking about what are the permutations I can actually go through to win the game from here if I lose my Show and Tells.
Yeah, and he decides I can't find those permutations, so I have to Force Will your Surgical Extraction. And here's the thing, that doesn't mean that Surgical Extraction's gone for good, because there are Snapcaster Mages in Kory's stack, because he's going to Brainstorm with Delver's Secrets flip on the stack.
Yeah.
Kelvin saying, man, you are just being brutal here.
He's got it all. Spell Pierce, Flusterstorm.
It's easy. Show me a Ponder. Not going to show you those counter spells. Ponder goes to the grip for Jacob Kory. In for 3. Young goes down to 13. We go to Kory's second main phase. Probably a Ponder, but he might just leave that mana up.
Yeah, there's no big rush. And if he's interested in drawing the card on top of his deck, but not the following one, he might get more overall value of drawing the card he certainly wants to draw and then having the option of shuffling away the bad card, assuming the following two are also bad.
Yeah. And he knew the card that was on top of his deck, which I think was a Wasteland, which is what he's... no, it's a Mountain. Never mind. Take it back. Here's a Ponder. Surgical, Force of Will, Delver.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
This is brutal.
So, deciding how to split these. As you can tell, these guys are pretty good friends here.
Yeah. People I both recognize, although it might appear that the cards that Jacob were pondering with might have actually touched his hand, in which case it's possible we're looking at a judge intervention here. Yeah.
Yeah, they're discussing right now, I think. We'll see. Yep.
Yeah.
We'll bring it back to us for right now. We'll see what the ruling ends up being. But Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, one of the things that you can't do with Ponder, and it's actually kind of, because confusing isn't the right word, but when you have Brainstorm and Ponder in your deck, sometimes it's natural to Brainstorm, draw 3 cards, put them in your hand, and then put 2 back, versus Ponder, which is look at 3 cards, and then put 2 back, and then, or put them back in the order and do whatever.
It's especially easy to get them confused because both cards start with the instructions of take the top 3 cards off your deck and put them into your hand.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon to see some sort of operations error there. Again, we'll see how the judge rules, but once the cards do touch, enter your hands, then we enter new territory. So we'll find out momentarily.
Yeah, not too sure. Jacob Kory pretty far ahead in that game, and he's already up a game as well. So hopefully it doesn't come back to bite him. But and it looks like it is a lock that they touch. So is that a game loss there? Wow.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That is really rough for Jacob, because that game looked as about as locked up as it can get.
That is tough to take.
It is, but Jacob, he is a very serious competitive player, and I'm sure when he walks away from this match, win or lose, he's going to say, "That's my mistake." It's tough, but again, there's some spots where the rules are required to be strict to avoid any opportunity for angle shooting or dodgy play, and certainly cards that are not part of your hand entering your hand is a really easy opportunity for some dubious behavior to take place.
So, something we didn't think we thought is going to happen, which is a Game 3.
Yep.
Surprise, surprise. Our updates for you guys on other matches really quickly here. Yuri Cecil versus Jonathan Job. They're in Game 3. Belcher versus Blue Green Food Chain. Since I don't have a result yet in that match, I have a feeling that Jonathan Job is probably winning. You've got, obviously, our match in front of us here going to game number 3. John Kasari defeats Michael Bolin 2-0, 12 posts moving on to face the winner of Isaac Sears versus Phoenix Pan. Those players might actually still be in game number 1 as we do not have a result from that match just yet.
And if that's going on, then that's probably really good news for Femus.
I'm inclined to agree with you. So we're working our way towards a champion here.
Yep.
In Los Angeles, our last Open Series event of Season 1 before we go to the Invitational in Charlotte.
Pretty exciting stuff. And the season has flown by.
Week 1, Indy. Stuck in the snow.
Yep.
Week 2, Orlando. No snow to be seen.
Yep.
It's just
Week
great.
3, Columbus. Stuck in the snow
Stuck in the
again.
snow.
Again.
Stuck in the snow. After that, you were in Baltimore. I had the weekend off.
Yep.
And then
It was just normally freezing, not snowing.
Yeah, no snow. Just
snow on the ground, but
okay, just freezing in the inner harbor
Right.
though. Okay. After that, there was a week off, I believe, for the Pro Tour, maybe, or maybe the pre-release. I think it was.
Yep.
I think it was the pre-release.
pre-release, then Nashville.
Yeah. Okay. Pre-release. Then Nashville. It was Osip and Matthias. After that,
I think that was St. Louis, the weekend after that. Then New Jersey got snowed out.
St. Louis seems like it was so long ago. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. Okay. So St. Louis. Oh yeah. Then Jersey got. Ooh. Are you sure?
Well, Roanoke got snowed
No,
out.
it was Jersey that got snowed out, and then St. Louis.
I'm not
was that
100%
order.
sure.
It was
But in
that
any
order.
case,
Yeah. Okay. So Somerset
a lot
gets,
of snow is the...
Somerset gets snowed out.
It's the recurring theme here.
Then we go to St. Louis. Then we go to Atlanta. There's a cartwheel in between those things. Me also actually hurting my foot.
Yep.
Not having to do with a cartwheel.
Yeah, for as passive as a job as staying in the booth talking about Magic is, you've incurred some real physical damage. You nearly shattered your ankle on that barrel roll.
Whoa! That was a cartwheel. That was a cartweel.
Then-
or as close as you can get. A round off, maybe.
Then you tore a ligament in your foot doing whatever you were doing.
Jogging in the morning. Hashtag MTG Fitness.
Yeah, MTG Fitness.
My pain should not be your pleasure. I don't know why you're laughing.
It's not that I'm not deriving enjoyment from the fact that you got hurt. I'm just deriving enjoyment from the story. That's
Okay.
all.
That's very nice of you. Quick update for you. Themis 2-0. Bug Control moving on to play against John Kasari in his 12-post deck. After Atlanta, I had the weekend off.
Yeah.
Where were we?
Who
Why
knows?
can't I remember? So much traveling. It just
It's
all
all-
blends
it
together.
all blurs together.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
And then I was in the booth with Chapin last week in Seattle.
Oh, after Atlanta was Richmond.
Oh yeah,
Duh.
Richmond, right? The Grand Prix.
Yeah, the Grand
Only
Prix.
the biggest constructed Grand Prix of all time
Oh,
by
yeah.
double the second largest one or
Yeah,
whatever.
duh. And then, and then you were in the booth in Seattle.
With Chapin.
Yeah, with Chapin, where I was embarrassing myself casting Revelations, but I'll tell you, it was fun.
I don't know. You didn't do terribly well in the tournament, but you played fine from what I saw.
It was fun.
You got my stamp of approval.
Thank you so much.
I'm not
I drew Blind Obedience against the Haystack.
I'm not sure how much my stamp of approval matters when it comes to Revelation decks, but you had mine.
Appreciate you. And now we're here. And then next week, we're in Charlotte, and that's season 1.
North Carolina,
Man.
Queen City. I'm a huge fan. I'm really excited about it.
And then, season 2, I know we're going to be in Milwaukee.
Yep.
And then I'm going to be in Dallas with Matthias. There's Vegas in there.
Yeah, I'm missing one show in there because I have to work PAX East with Stoneblade Entertainment.
Man, that's a rough life.
So I'll be in Boston one of those
That
weekends.
is tough.
Yep.
That is really just, I feel for you.
Yep.
I can go if you can't make it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Both players taking a look at their opening hand here.
This is looking like no pressure from Jacob here, but a bunch of cantrips and some counter spells.
I think he's happy enough.
See if Kelvin can capitalize on the stay of execution he just received from Jacob's unfortunate ponder.
He's going to mulligan.
It all works out in the end,
We'll see.
Yeah.
Certainly not over yet.
But yeah, it's a life on the road is pretty sweet.
Life on the Road is great.
Yeah.
Life on the Road is great. A lot of people ask me just, how can you travel that much? I guess I'm just used to it from playing competitively when I used to go to a bunch of Grand Prix and stuff.
I definitely appreciate, I enjoy most American cities. I appreciate travel. And my biggest regret from my Pro Tour days was not enjoying the experience of traveling.
I agree.
Just jumping into the tournament hall, hanging out there for 3 days, flying home. And now I make an effort to, go to sporting events or concerts the night before the event or try to take in a local attraction, make up for lost time.
Yeah.
So I enjoy the experience quite a bit.
That is one of my regrets from playing professional Magic and during my early 20s. It just I saw the roof of convention centers, baby. I'll tell you what. I know how many lights are up there.
I went to Japan 3 times. I don't have a single photograph.
Hey, me too. Me too.
I would like to make up for that as much as I can.
Well, we'll get to see everywhere up to and hopefully Houston, Texas, with any luck. A great American treasure.
Jonathan Job's hometown.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been to his parents' house. They're wonderful people. As is Jonathan Job.
Yep.
We got a keeper. Boom.
Boom.
What'd you keep?
We'll find out.
Brainstorm. Pyroblast, Lotus Petal, couple turns, good mulligan.
I wonder if Cataxian Probe has forced players to mulligan more aggressively because all sins get revealed.
That's what I like about discard spells. And Probe.
Let me see.
Yeah.
How little respect you have for me. But a good mulligan for Kelvin. Of course, he's missing a lot of pieces, but those cantrips can piece it together, and the Pyroblast gives him some time as well.
Jay Kory's got a lot of cantrips. A couple Ponders, a Brainstorm, another Probe. Going to play a Volcanic. There's a Ponder. He's just looking for a clock now. Actually, he's looking for a lot of things, honestly. You see a Pyroblast, a Sulfuric Vortex, and a Brainstorm. He is looking for a lot of things. He doesn't have the clock yet. He doesn't have a ton of permission. But he has the necessary cantrips to really get the ball rolling.
And I have to imagine this is actually really close to a shuffle, as good as this looks, just because it's not, is he going to spend all of his time just cantripping without shuffling?
I hope not. He needs to find something to do.
He doesn't really want to give Kelvin that much time because, again, Kelvin has a hand capable of improving its quality and finding the right pieces. So Jacob kind of has to get the ball moving here. And as good as that looks, I think that's got to be at least considered to be shuffle, but it looks like Jacob's going to keep the 3. And an Emrakul for Kelvin, so piece number 1.
Lotus Petal. Kelvin with a big smile on his face. I'm going to get you. But for now, I'm just going to pass back. Kory can untap. Take a draw. There's a Brainstorm. There's an Island.
Another hand I can kind of respect. It's just really hard to shuffle away a Brainstorm. You can use another Ponder to shuffle away the Vortex if he's not really that interested in it.
He's just got so much manipulation. 2 Brainstorms, a Ponder, 1 permission spell, and Pyroblast, Probe, Surgical Extraction playing a strange role. Kelvin's going to go down to 19 here. Let's see what land he's going to search up.
Yeah, but right now Jacob is all dressed up but nowhere to go.
Yep. Volcanic Island.
I think you can safely assume at this point that Jacob has removed Price of Progress from his deck.
I would like to assume as much.
Game 1 he has to be a little more careful about if he's getting Volcanics versus Basics if he can avoid it. But
yeah. But afterward.
Yeah.
Decision-making time. Here for Kelvin. He's got those 2 Brainstorms if he wants to fire one off on the end step or not. The answer is yes. Yes. I wonder if this is worth Pyroblasting.
I think because Jacob knows from Kelvin's hand that he has no way to shuffle his deck as his hand is currently constituted, it's a little aggressive to go after this Brainstorm.
Ooh. Well, he knows he has a Tarn in his hand.
Yes.
Yeah. I love his use of Surgical. This is the second time.
He's just been stone raining him.
Yeah, this is the second time we've seen Kory do this. Kelvin says,
Okay.
All right. You got my land. And a little info. You now know, excuse me, I drew an Emrakul. Jonathan Job, the fun police,
Escaped it.
beats the Belcher.
Well, I don't think that's really fair. I mean, to call Jonathan Job the fun police in all of this.
The cannon is gone, dude.
Yeah.
The Belcher is gone. The number 1 seed has been dispatched by Food Chain.
And of all the cards that I bring up that synergize, commonly played cards that synergize with Gitaxian Probe, I had not really considered Surgical Extraction, but Jacob in these games has really been capitalizing on working with complete information to be a surgeon with these.
So what you're saying is you're going to go on a Surgical Extraction crusade next.
Well, I like it next to Snapcaster Mage, but that's a separate conversation. And Kelvin isn't even the type of deck that you would imagine being that susceptible to Surgical Extraction, but Jacob's been doing really good work with it.
The fact that we get to see more Food Chain tonight, that makes my day. 2, 3, Brainstorm, Emrakul, Sneak Attack. Sneak Attack's the big one there.
And he is Brainstorm locked. I mean, there's no mana coming and no way to shuffle the deck.
Yeah. Not so good.
How many lands total are in Kelvin's deck? 19?
Yeah, there can't be a lot. I mean, if you want to cut the pedals, you can. But I mean, those are one shots.
I'm more speaking to the fact that he's down 4 Tarns.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not that many lands left in this deck.
Yeah, and he already used one of those turns to get a land out of his deck. So right now, 4 Tarns and a Volcanic. Here's a Brainstorm. He's really trying to get there. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kory counter this one.
Well, Kelvin pretty desperately needs a land drop and a way to shuffle his deck.
Especially when there's a Brainstorm in the end step, you put 2 cards back, and then you Brainstorm after you draw your card. That's like a pretty desperate plea to me. Like, I need a land, please. Kory looking at a couple cards. He draws a Red Blast.
And now with the backup Red Blast, I would not be surprised to see Jacob fight over this cantrip. It was a different conversation when he only had the 1.
Yeah.
He may be sensing some amount of weakness from Kelvin here.
It's easy for us to say here in the booth, but I think I think there's way just the fact that Brainstorm end step, and then you're gonna let this Brainstorm resolve. I'm a little surprised not to see him pick a fight over this, even though I don't think a land was drawn.
Well, if he believes that Kelvin is doing this because he does not have a land, then he's essentially allowing him to look at one more card.
Mm-hmm.
And he might just say, well, okay, the odds are pretty low here. The Pyroblast has more upside down the line. It's possible he actually would rather save it to fight over Ponder at this stage of things than even the Brainstorm.
Okay. Third Mace of the draw. Gonna sacrifice this. Down to 15. Gonna go get a Volcanic Island. We'll see what we see here from Kory. Might be a Sulfuric Vortex time, maybe. Might just be cantripping time, too. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, the Vortex is not terrible to land here, but Jacob still needs to find pressure as he's, oddly enough, behind in the life race.
And he let the Vortex go from some of the Pondering and Brainstorming.
Yeah.
So just going to cast a Gitaxian Probe hard cast. Wants to see, now that all of your Brainstormers are resolved, what have you kept? So there's a Pyroblast, a Sneak Attack, a Brainstorm, a Misdirection, a Spell Pierce.
Some pretty valuable cards to know about.
Yep.
And again, no land coming. I guess it's not impossible that Kelvin has sandbagged a 2-mana land.
It's an interesting hand from Kelvin.
Well, it doesn't amount to much until he finds more mana, quite frankly.
Yeah. It's just a lot of things to consider if you're Kory. That's all. Just a lot of different things to look at. Snapcaster Mage.
That Snapcaster, I mean, right now, Jacob could just go play Snapcaster, flashback, Gitaxian Probe, find another card, and actually get some pressure going.
Yeah, because I'm right now from Kory. He could have flashed back right away. I don't want to. I don't think I want to Snapcaster Surgical and let you shuffle your deck.
I definitely respect Jacob's instinct here to want to just hold on to the Snapcaster Mage to flashback his 1-mana spells because some of them are so high value. And having the option to get Surgical Extraction there is good as well. And maybe Jacob feels like his hand's so good that he can afford to be very cautious. But I do like the idea of just Snapcaster, flashback, Ataxian Probe, and start attacking.
Ponder at Force of Will to the hand. Now we're going to see a Brainstorm. These will be new cards. Are we going to fight over this?
Well, Jacob's approaching the point where he has to discard. And again, it's good for him to start fighting over some of this stuff in my mind because it just opens up more value for Snapcaster Mage as he has a better spread of 1-mana spells in the graveyard.
Here's a Pyroblast.
He's got to do something with his mana. I mean, he's getting close to having to discard to hand size, so.
All right, Kory's going to untap. Take a draw. Surgical. He does have one of those in the graveyard already. Just going to pass back. Kelvin draws. It's a Ponder. You want to counter this too?
I think this is it's Snapcaster Mage time here. This
Okay.
is I feel like Jacob's been trying to set the game to this spot where he can Snapcaster Mage and flashback a powerful 1-mana spell.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me too.
And if Kelvin wants to fight over this, he's going to have to use a Lotus Petal or 2 cards in hand.
Yep. He's so stuck on mana right now.
Yeah.
And he's going to target the Pyroblast.
Yeah, the only reason that Jacob, in my mind, did not Snapcaster Ataxian Probe earlier was because he was trying to walk the game down this road.
Yeah. We can see an interesting little fight here because Pyroblast's current target is going to be Ponder, but the Misdirection could target the Snapcaster Mage now. And then we could have a little fight all over a little Ponder. I think we're about to.
Well, with a backup Snapcaster Mage in hand and a lot of resources to work with, I don't think this is worth much of a fight. I mean, Jacob would have to respond with Force of Will, and I just don't think he's willing to do that right now.
So did the so maybe he'd misdirected the Pyroblast over to the Misdirection then?
Yeah.
Okay. Because he could have misdirected it over to the Snapcaster Mage. And he kills that. Maybe he just missed that play. A lot of the times you see misdirection just change the target to itself, so it's a common use for it. A lot of people refer to it as the 5th Force of Will.
That's that's some hyperbole. It's kind of like a...
That's what people, when they build their deck, they say, oh yeah, this is Force of Will number 5. City of Traders
I
shows
think we
up.
found out today that it's actually disrupting Shoal.
Yeah.
If we learn anything from Grey Couch.
There's a Surgical. You have to figure out what we're targeting now. You Ponder. Here's a hand of Emrakul, Pyroblast, Sneak Attack.
And I think part of the reason that Jacob did this was he's actually just interested in the contents of Kelvin's hand.
Yeah, info.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be part of the reason he didn't pick a huge fight over the Ponder too, is he knows that, okay, if I get the first one, I'm going to get the rest of them. Because what he's basically doing here is he's just making his draws just bad.
Yep.
That's all.
Although it's not actually that clear in this spot because Kelvin wouldn't mind drawing mana.
Yeah, that's true.
Of course, a Ponder is going to translate to mana in most scenarios, but... We'll see. I think, quite frankly, the biggest thing there was Jacob just wanted to see his hand. Because he's got to try to figure out how to sequence his own cantrips, how much he needs to hold up, all that kind of stuff.
I actually was informed on Twitter by a couple people. Pyroblast is modal, so once it's on the stack, you can't misdirect it to a Snapcaster Mage. So
because the mode chosen is
counter target spell.
And you can't switch it to
destroy target blue.
That makes sense.
Blue permanent. Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, Twitter. It's these old cards. They get us every time. Here's a Ponder. Jacob has some in his deck. Force of Will, Mountain, Scalding Tarn. Looks like a man in the market for a Force of Will. Go figure.
Yep. I mean, it's Force of Will versus having to draw some lands here, and it just depends if Jacob can find anything to do with the mana. But with Snapcaster Mage, he has actually quite a bit, and he's playing around Spell Pierce as well.
Yeah, and he'd rather have the mountain, so. Show and Tell comes rolling off the top. And now Kelvin's going to ask, how many cards do you have? The answer is, all right, doesn't matter. Guess Show and Tell.
The answer is it's not getting better,
Yeah.
so whatever. Well, Jacob knows he has to fight over this. He knows Emrakul's waiting.
Yeah. Red Blast. Kelvin going to take a look at his hand. Show and Tell, easily taken care of.
Still, Jacob's starting to sweat now. I mean, Kelvin's getting a real hand together.
Yeah, with good reason.
Yeah.
Kory going to untap. He'll draw the Force of Will. In for 2. Young down to 17. See the hand there for Kory. Couple Force of Wills, couple blue cards. Young will draw. Another Show and Tell, maybe?
And you can see why I was advocating before for Jacob to Snapcaster a Gataxian Probe. I'm not saying that play was necessarily correct, but you cannot hold off this deck forever.
Yeah. Gotta get the ball rolling. Gotta get him dead.
For as much permission and you know, other disruption that Jacob has shown, it only can go so far.
City of Traders going to bite the dust after floating 2 mana. This is 5 mana now. 2 from the Ancient Tomb. Show and Tell with a mana floating. Excuse me, Sneak Attack with a mana floating. Force of Will, removing a Brainstorm.
So again, Kelvin with a colorless in his pool, not a red mana.
Correct.
Although Kelvin is running out of resources to fight with, you know. He's
Take a look
also
at the graveyard now.
also aware of the, you know, the snap, potentially having to be cautious of Snapcaster Mage, because if he loses the sneak attack, then Snapcaster Surgical Extraction might close a lot of doors.
Mm-hmm. He's going to cash in Lotus Petal finally on a Pyroblast to fight over this Force of Will. See him organizing the stack. Force of Will. Going to target Sneak Attack again here from Jacob Kory. Sneak Attack is taken care of. Dust settles. Kory without cards in his hand.
Here we go. 2 Emrakuls against a Snapcaster Mage. We'll find out whose top deck is better.
Yeah, let the race begin. That's a Gristlebrand.
A little too heavy.
Kory with the Delver Secret on the top. Attack for 2. This will speed things up a little bit.
It's Delver.
Bang.
Oh, I think Jacob really needed to play the fetch land
Me
there.
too.
Because if the top card of his deck is a bad draw, he's really going to want to shuffle.
What if it's a Force of Will
What
and he
if
has a 5th land in his hand?
What if it's the best draw? Well, that's different, of course.
Hit for 5. Puts him down to 4. Kelvin will draw a card. It's an island. His draw steps were not as good. Jacob Kory is going to win this match over Kelvin Young. Blue-Red Delver is moving on, defeating Sneak and Show 2-1. Second time Kory's bested Kelvin this tournament.
Yeah, and I'm you know, of course we're neutral in the booth here, but after the unfortunate way the game 2 ended, I'm glad that Jacob was able to take that match down.
I feel the same way. I
Yeah.
do. I mean, I'm not saying that the rule is bad. The rule makes sense.
It is what
Obviously,
it is.
yeah.
You know, all you're looking for with a rule set is consistent enforcement.